the supervisors.
And
Either
then-
recommendation for changes, or recommendation for approval, move forward, or since we're a body just looking at it and giving our opinion on it to the supervisors.
Okay. And then as a planning commission, if data centers were permitted in open space, what then wouldn't be permitted in open space going forward? I mean, you go from open space to heavy industrial, everything else in between would have to go in there then. And then, you know, then we go from being surrounded by beautiful mountains, looking up at the stars, to no mountains, and looking at the data centers. And that's the realist, you know, that's realistic for how it's written right now. And then the part where it's permitted use, so by right, so they wouldn't have to go through the conditions and meet certain conditions.
No, they would have to meet the conditions, they just wouldn't have to go to zoning.
But unfortunately, the way the ordinance is written now, there's really nothing in a lot of it that states if you don't meet this condition, you're denied. It really is it open-ended. There's through a lot of it, it does not have firm boundaries and limits. And then it has a lot of the, you know, we recommend and, you know, we suggest. This is an ordinance that should be basically the township law. If they don't meet it, then it's not. And then it increases in open space, which in everything else, I think the impervious coverage is so low, I forget exactly what it was, it's like 15 to 20% or something like that. And for data centers, it's gonna be 50% on top of a mountain. Right. So I don't know why it's so increased for this in open space on top of mountains above residents. Those are my basic questions. I do have a lot to write up and send to you guys.
Thanks, Mary.
Another question.
Yep.
Sorry, we came to ask. Once you have all this information from the community that the community is presenting to you now, how long until you make a decision that you're going to make a recommendation to the supervisors? And once you compile all the information that is being presented, what type of feedback does the community have back from the board prior to you saying, okay, we agree with the ordinance, we don't agree with the ordinance, this has to change? That communication is presented back to the community before a vote is taken. Is there a time limit? I mean, how is the communication between the planning board and supervisors provided back to the community on what your thought process is and your opinions are associated with comments provided here this evening?
So without putting firm timelines on anything in particular, so I have a feeling the supervisors probably want some kind of a recommendation one way or the other from planning commission sooner rather than later, just so we're not dragging it out super long. The 7th is when they're planning on having public comments to the supervisors, I believe.
6 o'clock, yes.
6 o'clock, right? Or is it 6 or 7?
Six.
Okay.
6 is public comment, 7 is
the
the meeting.
Okay. So the 7th is when they're planning on having that meeting, and then based on, I believe, whether they have a recommendation from us, I think they're waiting on those comments as well. And then public comments, if there would be any changes made, would determine the next steps with the supervisors, whether it needs to be revised or whether it goes to a vote.
So there's nothing in between today until the 7th for the community to be.
Right now, there's no other meeting scheduled other than the planning commission where we're getting it to look at tonight, and then the 7th for public comments.
Okay. So before you provide your recommendation to the supervisors, how do you provide comments back to the community where you're thinking of telling the supervisors what your recommendations are?
It would either be at the next meeting, basically it would be our next meeting.
Okay.
So, and that would be, either be the 3rd Tuesday of next month, or if we decide to have a special meeting, it would be advertised.
Okay. If we have a special meeting, how is that communicated? Is that with the paper, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Same way they do the other ones, so they have to put it, I think it's a minimum of 24 hour, but we try to do a lot more than that. So the people had noticed, but they put in the press enterprise that there'll be a special meeting for planning commission if they needed some kind of action prior to that meeting.
I think it's already in the paper, first notice.
For the 7th meeting. This is
For
if
the,
they,
for the public comment at 6 o'clock.
yeah, this would be, if for whatever reason they needed us to have some kind of special convene of the planning commission, that they needed something prior to that meeting.
Michael, what's the time frame for completion for the township purpose?
And in terms of like a firm timeline for getting this approved,
Yeah.
I haven't heard a firm timeline either. The only thing I heard was what Attorney Nyhard said at that last meeting, and he didn't really give a number of days or anything like that, so.
Can I interject here?
Sure.
Didn't he, Attorney Nyhard, ask for written suggestions to be right to him or to where?
Delivered to the township.
Okay, so that will be here.
To the secretary.
Okay. So there's no other input other than the meetings.
I mean, it,
The Curtis amendment that is going to court, what is that? They want their land to be zoned? Is that what the hearing
so
was?
the initial curative amendment
Legally.
essentially was,
I guess there's two parts of it. Part one is the complaint is stating that the township does not currently have a sufficient quantity of industrial zone land. So the curative amendment is requesting, 400 and X acres to be rezoned industrial out of ARR,
Right.
residential,
So if they
agricultural.
do that and they turn it into industrial, and we don't have it set up for industrial now, we can't open space. So can they come back and say again, they wanna rezone now to open space?
If they, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but if they win the, there's no, they can pretty much go in and do whatever they,
With industrial, so we have it open in our industrial, and now we have it open in our open space too?
no, it would be one or the other. The court wouldn't want it.
so part of what they had, I believe, in there as well. So it was, they were looking for rezoning to an industrial space, and part of their argument as well was that we didn't currently have anything on the books within the township to define where a data center could go. So by not essentially giving them a space or saying where it could go, the township was being exclusionary. That was part of the curative amendment as well. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think with the curative amendment, they don't care if it's industrial, open space, or whatever, they just want to have a space for a data center, whatever it gets classified as.
Right, but that's not what they're saying. Data center hasn't been mentioned at all with their Curtis amendment, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Curative
Yeah,
amendment, yeah, that's what that whole.
That's what the
Yeah,
thing
it
is.
was allowable space and use for that.
So then we are approached for that center.
But permit hasn't been issued for one.
No,
It was a
rezoning
curative
only.
amendment that they put through.
Yeah.
One question. In 2010, the map showed the industrial area across 93 by the old sawmill. I can't remember any changes. I was only in supervisor to 2012, but there were no changes to take it out of industrial. I wanted to put it on the record, Danny, that now the 2024 map at the township building shows it's gone. So what happened between 2010 and 2024? Did the county redo the maps and make a mistake? Danny's going to look at his journal and see if in the minutes anywhere, but again, I don't remember anything
was
ever
only one.
coming out of industrial. So how do we fix that?
Would that have gone through zoning at the time, Mary Ann, or would that have gone through planning commission though?
Should have.
It would have to
Should've
go,
went
Both
through
really,
you,
right?
it would
Should've
have to
went through
go,
both.
it would go through both, actually. But it
I
never,
don't recall that change. I remember when we put it up there, you know, because 93 goes right through there, that was the busiest access to it, or easiest access to industrial.
Right.
But
And that's currently open space.
now.
Yeah.
But how did it get from?
They changed with no knowledge, nobody knows, zilch.
Yeah, Jeff Thomas brought it up at one of the meetings. Should be on record. Cause he
So-
said he was on the planning commission when that was approved.
when it was approved,
So was I was,
taken out of industrial. or-
I went up and talked to Nettie, I got the map,
Yeah,
the map that's on the wall, I worked with Nettie Durkin at the time to get the map on the wall.
What years were you there, Randy?
2007 to 2011, I think, or 10.
I was gonna say, who else was on with you?
Jeff,
Floyd
Thomas.
was
I
on,
came
right?
on right before you left.
Yeah,
so how do we find out, or how do we fix this? Do we take the county map of 2024, 2010, to the mapping department, to which department? How do you fix this?
If the supervisors didn't approve this map by resolution or whatever, it's really not our map. The original map that's behind everything that's in
2010,
No, I think it's older than that. You can't even read it anymore because it's so faded, but Billy Eller designed it and supervisors approved it by revolution and bang, that was our map. Other than that, I don't remember any changes. I mean, these other maps that are printed out from the county, or
County.
whatever, they're just,
just maps.
that's what's on their record. That isn't this township's original
Okay,
zoning. That's the way I see it.
whatever it is, the township is in charge of it, not the county.
Exactly. Now,
Make that clear.
we should maybe contact Billy Heller and try to get, if he's got the Mylar or whatever, to reprint that same map. No,
And it should be done.
because I don't recall the supervisors approving a new map after that.
don't
I could be
remember-
wrong.
I don't remember it during my time.
I've been here too long, that's why I forgot.
So is there anything that says that we have to prepare for a hyperscale data center? Or if we had enough acreage in industrial property that was accessible by a major highway where a minor or a micro data center could fit, would that suffice?
Can I answer that? According to our special counsel, we have to accommodate every use.
So the use of the data center?
Yeah,
Right.
that would
By
cover
every
it.
use, you mean height and range and
Yes.
whatever.
So the size of it wouldn't matter then.
Every different type of use. I
Well,
should
that's
say.
kind of ridiculous. I think that's a misinterpretation.
I agree.
Who did you say said that? I'm
Our
sorry.
special counsel,
the attorney.
Yeah, you don't have to make room for a, space shuttle launcher, I mean.
We're not that big of a township, it's,
Right.
why should we have to accommodate for every, we're not that big of a township.
you can, that's a great question to ask special counsel on the.
Who's our
at the
special
public
counsel?
hearing.
Attorney not here.
Go ahead.
So, I mean,
John?
I was, when I first saw that they were in these open spaces, I got really angry. And I looked it up and it's like, for a township like ours, a rural township being put in a terrible situation like this, honestly. There's pluses and minuses to using the open space concept and putting it in there. I know it sounds backwards, but there were some pluses to them using it. I could actually see what they were, thinking when they did that. I mean, I know it sounds backwards, like some things in life do, they just sound backwards, and this one does, but there's pluses to it. It's not all bad. They weren't like, they didn't, I thought they were like sold us out. I don't think that's what happened at all. I think it's a strategy.
I think what everybody's worried about.
Could you state your name, please?
I mean,
Thomas Stanford, 392 Council Bluff Road, sorry.
Thank you.
My name's Scott Leck, 272 Powder Run Road. I think what everybody's worried about is there's so much open space And if you allow this in open space, you're opening up a lot of acres. It should be a limited amount.
So you're proposing rezoning something?
Well, I'm just saying, if you open it all up, you're opening up
Right.
all that whole mountain. I mean,
I understand 100%, but
I'm just trying to keep it to a minimum here,
Yeah.
like, you know,
so you'd be looking to rezone a specific area?
I'm just asking you what you think. I mean, I think that's what everybody here is worried about. I mean, have you gone over to Salem and seen
No,
the destruction, seen all the houses boarded up?
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting.
We took
That's
a
what we
ride.
don't
It's
want here.
awful. It's awful, it's,
Right. I think, I'm just trying to get clarification.
Right, I understand, Dan, I understand. We're trying to work with you guys. We really are.
Where is what I'm saying.
I
That's
know
what
that.
I'm saying, where?
That's why I think it shouldn't be allowed at all, but I understand you have to have some spot. But,
So how do you,
well, it should be in industrial, and if they want to add on to it, then they should have to.
that's right here. 'Cause we're sitting in industrial zoned
Yeah,
area,
but there should have been more over there on 91st.
but it's not though, it's right here. So are you suggesting here?
If that will suffice that, I'd be okay with it. Then we just
I'm not
relocate
trying
this
to be
building.
funny, I'm asking a serious
If
question.
that would
I
work
mean,
and
how much
cover our
are
bases,
they gonna
then sure.
pay? You could probably build another building with a couple million. I mean,
It's not. I'm not gonna. But that's what you're suggesting though.
I'm just saying that you're opening up a lot of space.
I understand.
Like Harold's property that there's 100 acres right there. Boom, gone.
I completely understand.
You know what I mean? It's
I
like,
completely understand.
it's different than 5 acres or 10 acres.
Ask Harold if he's gonna sell.
I'm not gonna do that to Harold.
Harold won't sell.
The thing of it is, I'm Harold Ryan, I'm one of the leaders here. There's a lot of open space, Powder Hole, back in the mountain. I've lived here since, my whole life. I'm 86 years old. So I'm one of the oldest residents here, and I want to see it stay the way it is. And there's so much, the Powder Hole, there's so much area. I've hunted all this ground. I own 270 acres over on the mountain. And most of that is so steep, you can't do nothing with it but hunt on it. And I can't see where a lot of it would be developable, but as they said, we have to provide some space.
Thank you, Harold.
Pre-split walls go in
Very
really
well.
fast. If you don't know what a pre-split wall is, it's an art to carve the earth.
So Route 93 would disappear.
Happens really fast.
it doesn't take much.
Yes, another question. Since
Yeah.
Since the area, Salem County, has so many acres going to the past, and all this work, right across the river, why such a smaller community needs to provide X amount of acreage for a data center? I mean, there's a lot of work that's gonna be going on there. Why does it have to be intrusive to our community? I know there's some stipulations in the law, what you're explaining, but why so much? Since, there's all farmland around here. I mean, why is it being pushed so hard into our community? I understand the transmission lines,
Yeah.
and all that for routing, but I'm just saying, so much over there. Why is it a negative effect here? Why is it being pushed
Done
to our community?
Yeah, as much ground as they've purchased in Salem, I don't know why they're still looking for ground. I honestly
Yeah,
don't.
I'm just saying, hey, you get a river, kind of a fuck with us, why?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, couldn't it be argued that we would make a good buffer zone? I mean, that's a huge development, that's a huge industrial complex going on right across the river from us.
I'm not an attorney, but I think because we're not involved in a joint municipal
I would agree, yeah.
agreement, that it doesn't matter if they're right next door to us.
And you're referring to like a fair share kind
Yes.
of deal? I think it would have to be like a joint comprehensive plan between multiple
Yeah.
townships in order for that to apply for like a fair
It is
share.
in our
'cause-
comprehensive plan,
Right.
But I mean, we would have to share like essentially the same zoning with Salem and
Yeah.
everybody else in order
to
for,
do the joint thing, yeah.
yeah, I tried looking a little bit. into that.
last thing you wanna do is hook up with them.
I have a question. How much farmland is included in the open space mapping that you're proposing, that's being proposed?
I don't know the answer to that.
Very little.
Farmland and
It's
open
mostly,
Is there
I
any
was gonna say
farmland
open
in open
space and
space?
believe is mostly
I
limited.
don't think it.
So no farmland?
No.
Yes.
Not much if there is.
Very, very little if the,
Unless
Be any expansion maybe
it's
that,
all around my house, it's open space.
Over by Whitebreads or,
Yeah.
I was gonna say Whitebreads might be in the
And
open
four
space in there, right?
sites.
Okay.
Four sites, all that
Okay,
area.
got that right.
Goes all the way down, unless the map changed. I have the map from 1985.
That probably changed.
Oh, yeah.
that's,
That was the original one. And that was when we did the ordinance back then. Our lawyer told us that we didn't have to allow everything for what we were planning to keep. We were planning to keep sewage out, we were planning to keep water out, and we could work around that and keep it the way we wanted to. And so now all of a sudden the lawyers changed.
it's 50 years
Oh,
ago.
that was it.
Right, but it's still,
Grandfathered in, you would think.
There's one thing that I noticed, I have a lot of the mountain property, and there's a lot of winter springs and a lot of water areas. And our ordinances protect us from a lot of that. So there's a lot of safeguards built into this,
there better be,
believe me.
there's gotta be a law because you're opening up a lot.
Believe me, there's a lot of water spaces and with the setbacks and so on, it's gonna be tough.
Here it is, the springs.
In the back, you had your hand up a little, I'm sorry.
I'm Haley Lay, I'm from the township, and
What was your name?
Haley Lay. I just wanted to say, I want to encourage you guys to use every tool in the bag as far as zoning and ordinance, because the problem with these data centers is, you don't know who your new neighbor is going to be. And they are all under NDAs, and every data center and how it approaches and how it treats your township is going to be different. Your developers that come in to collect this land and do the land grab, typically the same person. But every data center that comes in behind it is different, and how you will be treated by your new neighbor depends on which data center you're going to get. So I am encouraging you to apply every tool you have to protect your residents while you still have them, because once they're in, they're in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
I just have one more question about your, open land, whatever, you want to.
Terry, right?
So, as you said, once you open it, then they don't need to come in, they don't need to come in and ask for permit to rezone, that was your words, what you said. Once you open it, then you can pretty much do whatever you want there, that's what you said?
No, I never said you could do whatever you want. No. No.
But you said once it's open, it's industrial, you said pretty much anything, and somebody said the space shuttle could come in or whatever they said. But that's my understanding what you said, that once you open this open land, then you don't have to, they can come in and say, okay, this is what the land, this is what I want, this is what I want to put there. I'm trying to understand for your residents, because I think they're confused too.
No, I think you misunderstood.
Well, I think your residents are misunderstood too, because I said what they said, and I listened to the words and how you say stuff to your residents, and they say, okay, well, this is gonna be good, but then they don't understand, and then later on down the road, you're gonna find that, like, you're gonna find out that we're dealing with across the river. They need to hold this, and you guys really need to slow down and look at all your ordinance and look at all the precedents. And you need to follow through what, I know you said you're not combined township, because you got the power plant and we got the land. That's the reason they want here. They have the resources. So you need to be more transparent with your residents of this township and let them know what you're passing and say it in words to them that they understand, because I don't think you are.
We're not passing.
I'm saying beware. I just want to.
I'm sorry, but we're not passing anything.
Well, I know
Nobody's
you're not
passing
you're
anything.
planning commission, and you're going back to your supervisors, and you're gonna give suggestions and opinions, and this isn't open for comments. But I don't think your residents quite understand what you're asking for. I think you need to simplify it a little bit better, because once you all vote and everything, 2 years come down the road, there's no stopping it. That's all I'm saying. You need to be a little bit more transparent with your residents, and let them know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Got Corey over there. Corey?
Corey Woodson, Bell Road. Most of us here don't want the data centers, that's obvious, but we still need to have an ordinance in place to plan for what if they come. So with that in mind, looking at the proposed ordinance, I think it's a little light in the area of penalties, let's call it. Like, there are requirements for the amount of sound, but it doesn't mention in there, what if we don't?
That's dealt with in the developers agreement. That's mentioned in the ordinance.
Okay, because what I would like to see, or what I would like you guys to consider and possibly recommend is for the things that, like the sound, that the developer be required to put sound monitoring at the fence line that is reported real time to a publicly accessible website, so we can all see and check up on the amount of sound that's coming out of there. And then with regard to penalties and what happens if they violate the sound ordinance, you know, it's obvious with the money they're throwing around for land acquisition, that if we fine them $1,000 a day because they're making too much noise, big deal, that's a $365,000 line item on the budget. They'll pay $1,000 a day every day of the year, and it's no big deal for them. So the only thing that we have as a hammer to hold over their head should be the possibility that the supervisors could revoke their occupancy permit. Because the only thing that's gonna actually affect them is them not being able to operate. We can fine them thousands of dollars a day, and it's not gonna matter to them because they have all kinds of money. The thing that they will pay attention to, I think, is the fact that we can shut them down if the supervisors feel that the situation warrants it. So I'd ask that you consider that in your recommendations. Also, in the decommissioning section, the decommissioning is, in my opinion, a little light, the section that's in the proposed ordinance. It's very close to, or nearly word for word, with the Luzerne County data center ordinance. Luzerne County's ordinance allows data centers in heavy industrial and mining areas, so decommissioning isn't as important as it is in an area where it was previously open space. I think that we need to put in more specifics in the decommissioning area of what they need to do to clean the area up to return it if the data center ever ceases to exist. Since open space in Hollenbeck Township can be used for crop production or livestock production, it's important that we have these regulations for the decommissioning. The ordinance should also specify that decommissioning should include the removal of all buildings, cabling, electrical components, roads, foundations, data center electrical substations, data center accessory use facilities, and all other associated facilities. Disturbed earth should be graded, reseeded. This helps to ensure that we can use it again for crop production or livestock production after the data center force is no longer exists. This type of requirement is suggested in the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors Model Ordinance for large-scale solar facilities. So large-scale solar facilities are regularly built in agricultural areas, so I think since ours is going to be an agricultural area, we should be following the same type of reclamation or decommissioning that they're doing in the solar farm area, and not using the guide for mining areas like Luzerne County is doing. Additionally, there's provisions in there for the cost estimates and a bond to be put up for the decommissioning. And that is, according to our proposed ordinance, supposed to be updated every 5 years. It doesn't mention, though, who calculated it. I believe leaves that to the developer to calculate. And I think that it should be some third party that has expertise in decommissioning, paid for by the applicant or the developer. That type of wording is already used in Franklin County in their data center ordinance, Franklin County, Pennsylvania. So there is a precedent for having that kind of language in the ordinance. I have it typed out here. I apologize, I only have one copy. That's the end of my rant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add on to Corey's, that was a great idea, by the way, wonderful. Require, you require like existing plan, site plan, grading plan, drainage plan, utility plan, demo plan, decommissioning plan. That's what you should have then in your plan set at the end. They have post-construction for, E&S and land development, post-construction, so then you want decommissioning plan, which should have a different set of E&S plan to go with that, behind that, so it'll be a plan set. Should be at least 3-4 pages.
Can I interject on that one? Couldn't we possibly put an escrow or something up? And what if they all of a sudden claim, oh, we don't have the money to...
The bond.
That's
That's what the bond is for.
That's,
A bond,
Yeah.
okay. Is that something that's in there? I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
It's right there on the back page.
yep.
And
That's
record
the thing
the
that has to be
plan.
updated. They have to update the value.
And make sure the plans are recorded. Not just a drawing that gets thrown on the shelf. Make sure it's recorded and attached to the deed. And then it's gonna be always there. If in 50 years it's done, somebody could pull that up in the township and say, hey, we had this agreement. It's right here, and maybe they forget about the bond. Who knows the supervisor's gonna be in 50 years, I know.
It also says that put liens on the property. It's in there.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. Cash bonds, lien on the property, in the,
mhm.
right after decommissioning.
Rick White, 244 West County Road. I like the idea of penalties, and having them laid out better. I'd like to see them escalated. They can't be blowed off and pay the penalty and pay it again next month. Each time they screw up again over and over, double it, triple it, each penalty bring up another notch. You take another bit of murder.
Money doesn't bother them.
Yeah, maybe by the gigahertz, not by the day. So kind of like pumping your gas, like pay by the gallon, where you're gonna pay by the gigahertz over. And if it goes 2 over, then it's like triple or something.
They need to be shut down.
You have the ability to do that, so.
Mary?
I had two things that came to mind. There was no mention or reference in here for the current section of our ordinance, I think it's 704 with steep slopes. When you're talking about your land, it made me think of that, because you have your part of the mountain, but there's no protection of the steep slopes. The mountain can be taken right next to you. And then also, when Corey was talking about the things that are in the developer agreement, you said that certain things would be in the developer agreement, and that's why it's not directly in the ordinance. But what happens when a developer comes in, establishes everything, but then they sell it to somebody else? Where's the protection then?
It's developer agreements are typically running, so that, which that means by that I mean they'll either have to assign an heir or the developer agreement will transfer to the next party. The DEP requires a lot of them for like post-construction stormwater basins, that kind of thing. 'Cause developers can kind of come and go and.
So they have to agree to the original developer agreement in order to buy it?
Yeah, it would be part of it.
Or they start the process from the beginning again,
Yeah,
even if it's a revision.
right.
Any other comments? Bonnie?
One last thing, you said about where should we put it, what other option do we have kind of thing. And we're talking about like micro data center, major hyper data center. Keep in mind that the way that it's written is legitimate land use, okay? It doesn't, and I urge you to push back on this, okay? And you guys have the power to be like, we are the ones making decisions, and yes, you have legal advice and people guiding you, but if you think what they're telling you is not right, you need to push back on that. And I'm inquiring and reaching out to people like who have this information, and I'm not getting details on what is that legitimate land use. Where does it say specifically you need to have all types of data centers available to be built in your, or able to be built in your township? Just like, Molly said, like, we wouldn't be able to necessarily build like a rocket center here. Not everything fits in every township. That's what the municipal code helps to lay out. That's what the comprehensive plan establishes. So there is support, again, I'm just reiterating that. It's legitimate land use. It doesn't actually say, I have not found or had anyone to tell me where it says that every specific industry has to be allowed. So please push back on that, okay? And I urge you to just stand strong on this and do what you think is right, not necessarily just what you're being told is true. Dig into it more. We'll help you research more if that's what's needed.
We're all here to help you. Seriously.
We all have land here too and homes, just like you. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what he's got.
We do.
Scott, I was raised on a farm here back in 1955. It was all dairy farms here. How many people here have homes built on the farms?
Yeah.
When we stop and look about it, there's a few farmers now that are in the preservation. But I was born or raised with my aunt and uncle on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all farms.
Yep.
It was all dirt roads and farms, very little traffic.
My grandfather's
It
farm
has
was here
changed.
too.
Yep.
And I'd like to see it stay, I'd like to see these dairy farms back. But then, how many people would lose their farms or lose their homes?
Yep.
So, you gotta look at the broad picture.
Yeah.
But I'm with everyone here, I don't wanna see data centers, I hate to see what's going on over there. I didn't wanna see the nuclear plant. We have that.
And look what that brought us, right?
Yep, we were all supposed to have free school taxes, and look what that brought.
Right.
We don't have school,
Yep.
I pay as much as anybody in the township probably,
Yeah.
because I worked and got property, and now I pay the penalty.
Oh, the casinos are gonna take care of it.
Yeah,
Yep,
we're waiting.
but how many farms are now housing developments? Half of them.
Any other comments? All right.
Thank you for listening to us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
old business,
No, with the,
Yeah.
updated agenda, no old business from the previous, so the only new business was, how was it worded on there with the?
Review for recommendation the proposed amendment to the Hollenbeck Township zoning ordinance addressing the data centers. I make a motion to table a recommendation for the proposed amendment to the Hollenbeck Township zoning ordinance until we receive county comments.
I'll second that.
Until what?
County comments.
Closing county comments.
What about our comments?
It's been received.
Well, I
Welcoming the
mean, just to
comments,
say
yes.
like the residents' comments and the county comments, everybody's comments.
All in favor, table it, right?
Aye.
All those opposed? Yeah, any other comments for non-agenda items? All right.
The only other thing I would have is the meeting
Oh.
attendance, and I don't think that needs to even be on the agenda or even.
I think that just
a
needs to be
motion.
turned into business.
Turn it in. But before I do that, why don't each of you look and make sure it's accurate?
Oh, yeah. When did you miss a meeting? I don't know. It was election night.
That's right.
You forgot already. It was
Yeah,
last
that's
month.
right.
That's
Not
all
those
it
guys,
starts
were they
from.
on
I know.
20?
Next step to cognitive test.
Looks good to me.
I'll slide it under the door, unless you wanna take it. I'll slide it under. I gotta stuff away. Well, I'm not putting the book away, I don't have it filled out, I don't know.
I'm gonna give you whatever I have for comments here.
You want me to put all that in here?
Oh, you can put it in there however you want.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who's the chairman of the planning commission? Right,
I can
okay.
run.
Either way.